Hi everyone, comic book reviewer here. This time doing another Pixar film review, and this one is on Monsters University. Now, as you know, Monsters University was a 2013 coming of age comedy film, which was not also meant to be the sort of prequel to Monsters Inc., but also setting up the events towards season 2 of Monsters at Work. And the best way I can sum up Monsters University is not only being a sort of parody on the whole films like Animal House and all those other college films, but also meant to be a message about, being careful what you're destined for, and sometimes you can set yourself up for a hard fall. And the premise of the film is meant to follow Mike Wazowski, who attends his first year at Monster University. And we kind of see how Mike thinks he's destined to become a scarer, but we kind of see how slowly the people around him do have justified points for being a bit cautious about him getting his hopes too high. And I think when you do have the whole dean, who is supposed to be a little more of this expert scarer, she also knows Mike isn't really scarer material, but it's also clear Mike's just too stubborn and a little more taking it to heart to understand that. And we do kind of see Sully as well, who's not meant to be too experienced, but keeping up to his family name, but not showing any real professionalism. And the whole point of the film is, how Mike is trying to get back into the scare program. We kind of see how he joins this low level fraternity, and we kind of see how Mike is desperate to prove himself. And we even see how, due to his knowledge of basically the scare stuff, as well as his experience, it shows Mike is destined for something else, and it's not being a scarer, but being an expert on the field. And I think the whole point of the film's message is that, you might think you're destined for something, but it might not always be the case. And I think this has happened to a lot of people where they think they're meant for something, but the people around them do have justified points for being worried, a bit cautious, and a little more worried that they're going to get their hopes too high. And I think I've seen this with a lot of people, where you've got people like Andrew Dobson who think they're kind of making a difference when they're not thinking for their actions. Or it's like people like Mr. Enter, or basically Trolls World Bantal Fan. They think they're basically being expert reviewers when clearly they don't know the first thing about analysing things properly. And I actually think, that the whole point of the Dean's character, who's also meant to be Dean Abigail, you can tell she has some reasons for being a bit cautious about Mike. And of course, because of Sully setting a bad example, of course she's gonna not see Sully in a positive light. And people gotta remember your actions, behaviour, as well as how you act could make people uneasy to see you in a positive light, or they know deep down that you aren't really going to be destined for something that you clearly weren't meant for. And I can see where it's trying to set up some characters like Johnny, Randall, as well as the other ones that we will see for season 2 of Monster University. And I kind of think having Johnny set up to be this foil to Sully does work, as he's meant to be a bit more arrogant. He doesn't seem to show any remorse or care for his actions, while Sully had to slowly realise the consequences of his upstart, smug-like personality. And you do see that Sully slowly sees that Mike is going to set himself for a hard fall. And honestly, I think sometimes we've seen this with people where they think they're sort of meant for something when clearly they're not meant to, and sometimes you have to worry about what could go wrong if they don't really learn from their mistakes. I think Monsters University is not only a great homepage to those old college films, the whole fraternity things, but it's also meant to show that some people aren't really destined for things and meant for something else. Some people learn it sooner, a lot of people learn it later it depends on the situation. So I think, well, yeah, it's definitely a good film. It knows what it has to be. So I think it definitely deserves a thumbs up. Still good, and still alright. So, comic book reviewer here, signing out.